Welcome guys to UEFN Academy. In this video I will show you how to create stealing mechanics. So we got two bases, we got a couple of devices, and I will show you from ground up how to set up stealing mechanics and how it works. So let's get started. So we are in the game. As you see, I bought some brainrots on another device. Now if I take the brainrot and I take it to my base, it appears here. And I can do it back and forth. So I can go with this character, I can take it, I can bring it to another base. If I leave it now, and then if I drop it, how do I drop it? Then it spawns in the same position. So on my Patreon, we have the stealing mechanics. You need to click it here and then download all. So when you got my assets from Patreon, you just copy them and you put them in a content file. In your Fortnite projects, you put it in a content file. So just paste it here. Now we can compile verse. If you don't see them, like I don't see them now, then just go back into some other projects, go back into this project again. It's loading again. So now when I compiled verse, I have the files here. So if I bring now all the devices to the scene, I can check if all the models work. We should bring two bases next to each other. Now we should create some red carpet. Pick the red material. Now we need two creative props for beginning and end. I will just take GNOME. It can be anything. It can be invisible creative prop. That's what I use in production. So I just use invisible cubes. Now we need carryable devices. Shift click, Alt, and drag them to another base. Now we need volume device. Alt and bring it to another base again. Now we need another creative prop to define our base position where the brainrots will go. So for this, I will just create, oh, I have this blueprint here, so I will take it. This will indicate our base position. And let's begin our setup. So we have a brainrot conveyor device. So we should put initial prop spawn positions. So this is our initial spawn position. And then the last waypoint is this GNOME. We should pick persistent manager. We should pick currency device. Here is our currency manager. So I will just create gold currency. And I will put here two HUD devices. One of them is HUD notification gold. And one is just gold indicator. So here from the tab HUD, we have this tab. We bring it here. We tick show for duration. This should be permanent. And then we should intro animation none, outro none. And this notification, we should put display time 2 seconds. And on this one, we can also remove the sound. So now we pick our HUD and notification. Then we pick persistence manager. And this is our device done. Next one. This is our game manager. So here we need to provide two bases. So the first base, player base position prop. And for the second base, player base position prop, we take those cubes, carryable devices. So here we need 3. Remember that indexes matter, so don't take them randomly, just take them in order. And for another base, we take, again, 3 carryable devices. 1, 2, 3. Then we have base drop zones and another base drop zone. And this is our base setup. And persistence manager, we have 3 carryable devices, so we put 3 here. Now we need to add 3 brainrots. So first brainrot is GNOME walk, base cost, we can make it $5, brainrot ID 0. We have to provide some icon. The next one is Tung Tung Sahur. ID 1. And then the last one is Chimpanzini. Base cost 7 and brainrot ID 3. Here I provided also implementation for prop details icon. You can remove it. It's not needed for now, but it can be useful for rebirth. So if you want to your brainrot to have some icon, then it's just easier setup to have it here on persistence manager. But otherwise, just put it to none or just delete this. So now we are back to Brainrot conveyor device. We need to have some kind of buttons. So take one button, take interaction time half a second, interaction text by, then interaction radius is 1 meter. Now duplicate it 4 times. Now we need some billboard wrappers, which will show above the brainrots. So take billboard, name it billboard wrapper, put size to 14, color is white, put some outline light, text justification center. The text doesn't matter, but just so we know it's a name. So the first one is done. We can also make it two-sided. Then duplicate it with Alt. And this will be rarity. Name it also here rarity. Second one, the next one, cost. And the last one we put as money per second. Or we can do it like this. So now we want to parent all of those devices to the name. So to the first wrapper. So I will just change name to name, billboard wrapper name, and I will just put all of them under this one. So rarity goes here, money per second goes here, cost goes here. Then I will click this icon here. I will make it a folder. And now I will duplicate it 4 times. Now back to our device. We need 4 wrappers and we just assign them one by one. So take name, rarity, cost, and money per second. If you have some error here, which shows run fix up, then just click it and compile the errors and try to launch session again. So now after the setup, we are in the game. So if I buy a Brainrot, it works, it goes to our base. But now we need to check if the stealing mechanism works. So I'm here in the game right now on another device. If I buy this prop, it goes to our base. It disappears and we have a prop here. So let's see now, if we go into volume device, it should disappear and spawn in our base. And that's very correct setup, but as you saw, we got some damage. So now we just need to fix our carryable spawners. And we want to remove all of those damages, all of those different things. So also take damage, and that should be about this. So the crucial thing about this implementation is that carryable spawners, we cannot directly modify the meshes which they contain. So we take the meshes directly from assets digest, and whenever we set the mesh on carryable device, we call this method set carryable mesh, but we provide the value from our data table. So I've got some method here which returns the mesh. So this aligns with IDs in our persistence manager. So if Brainrot ID is 1, so here in our persistence manager, if our ID of GNOME is 0, and then another prop tung tung is 1, then this needs to align with game manager. So if you add another mesh, you need to continue like this. And this IDs needs to be also aligned. So as you see here, 0 is GNOME, and then 1 is tung tung, and second one is chimpanzini. And this goes directly into our asset digest, and it takes the value from here, from this folder. from public folder. This is publicly available folder. We don't need to expose it. So we take those values directly and we provide them into carryable device. So let's try to understand how stealing mechanics works in code actually. So the heart of this is on agent entered volume device. So when agent enters the volume, so he brings the Brainrot to his own volume device. It can be here, it can be in his base, just into the volume device. Then we begin checking. So we check if his agent data from persistent manager has some carryable object handler. So this is a wrapper for carryable object. If we check what's inside, then we assign to each carryable device, we assign and save carryable object owner. So we save the agent, we assign agent data, we assign the actual instance of this carryable spawner device, and we also have persistent manager. So first method of carryable object handler is on Brainrot dropped. So if we drop Brainrot, then we despawn it and spawn it again in the same position. Then on Brainrot picked up. So whenever agent picks up the Brainrot, we save the reference to this object handler to agent data. So agent data is our whole data which we save about the agent, and here we have carryable object handler. Okay, let's get back to game manager. So first check we do is we check if owner of Brainrot is not equal to player entering the volume device. So as you know, this carryable handler device, it knows who is the owner, so it knows it belongs to this base. So if some player is stealing Brainrot from this base and it goes into this device, then nothing should happen. The stealing mechanism should activate only if the player gets this device into his own base. So if he goes into other player's base, then nothing should happen. This is just a check, just a safety mechanism. Then the next thing is that agent holds some Brainrots. So as I said before, this indexes needs to align. So carryable object index needs to align with Brainrot IDs, which is agent holding. So this is index 0 of the carryable spawner, and the agent is holding array of Brainrots, of custom Brainrots. So in this case, the 0 index of carryable object device will indicate 0 index in Brainrots array. So that's how we know that this first Brainrot is being stolen. Then we call persistent manager method. We remove Brainrot as specific index, and then we call method to add Brainrot for an agent. So in this case, we remove the Brainrot from the person who Brainrot is stolen from, and then we add it to the thief, to the guy stealing the Brainrot. One more very interesting mechanic of this whole implementation is that here in persistent manager we have add new Brainrot for an agent. So this is basically manipulating the arrays and adding the Brainrots at particular places. Even if we have an empty space in the middle, we will add the Brainrot to this space in the middle and not to the end or beginning of array. So we have here add new Brainrot for an agent. We are checking the agent data, we are checking the agent base, we are setting up maximum amount of Brainrot variable here, and this variable is defined by how many carryable device we have. So we have, in this case we will have a value of 3, so we can have maximum of 3 Brainrots. This is fail-safe mechanism. Then we are creating a variable here for owner's new brainrot array, and we are looping through agent data brainrots. So the brainrots which agent has. So if agent has a brainrot, then we just add it to array. But if we found empty space, empty slot, then we try to add a new brainrot here into this empty space. So if inserted is false, we set inserted as false in the beginning variable, then we're adding this brainrot to empty space, and we set inserted to true. So the next time loop executed, we have already inserted true, and we just build array as we do. So if we have a brainrot, then we just add it to array. But this time, if we find another empty space, then inserted is already true. So we won't be duplicating brainrot. We will be just adding again empty space where the empty space was. So yeah, this is for adding the brainrot to empty slot. But actually, if we didn't find any empty slot in the middle or somewhere else, then we will append the brainrot at the end. So we are making a check if inserted is false, and we are checking if we have maximum amount of brainrots. If the amount is bigger, then you cannot add any more brainrots. But if we pass the validation for this check, then we are just appending the new brainrot at the end of the array. And at very last, we just assign the whole agent data brainrots to the new array we created. Remember that inverse arrays are immutable, and you need to build array from the ground up, and then you need to replace them. You cannot just modify any index in the middle of array. You have to rebuild the whole array actually for it to work. And another method which we are using is remove brainrot at specific index. So in Game Manager, this is this method. So first we remove the brainrot from the person we're stealing from. And as I said before, so here we are rebuilding the whole array from the ground up. So into this method, remove brainrot at specific index, we are providing the carryable object index. This aligns with the brainrot array. Here we are providing index to delete. Then we are looping through players' brainrots, and we are here building new array. So if index to delete is not as index of brainrot, then we are just continuing building the array. But if the index is actually the same as index of brainrot, so this is the brainrot which we want to delete, then in this place we are putting the empty space. So we are putting array false. This puts an empty space, and that's how we remove the brainrot from array. And at the very end, again, we are setting brainrot array to new array we built in the beginning. Another very important mechanic of this whole thing is that we are doing some cron job running constantly in background, and we are checking if the brainrots are stolen, who is currently owning the brainrot. This is just mechanic which says which carryable device should hold which brainrot. So we have a loop here, and for each player, we are getting the agent data. We are checking the base of each individual player. Now we are looping through all of carryable devices. Now we are checking if agent has a brainrot in his array on this particular carryable device. So if it has on a 0 index, if there is a brainrot, and if it's not spawned, so if brainrot, custom brainrot has a check on is spawned, if it's not spawned, then we are checking its static mesh by ID. So this is the mechanic I told you about before. So we are getting the mesh from asset digest. And then we are calling the set carryable mesh on the carryable spawner. This is Fortnite digest method on the carryable spawner device. And we are enabling this device and spawning the Brainrot. And we are setting finally the isSpawn flag on this Brainrot to true for this particular agent. Then we are sleeping 3 seconds and this loop just constantly runs and checks our carryable devices and Brainrots. So this is the whole game manager. And that's how stealing mechanics works. That's all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this video helped you understanding the stealing mechanics. So please leave a like, subscribe and join my Patreon. It helps me a lot. And see you in the next tutorials.